Welcome to Her Ink Empire. I'm Justine Almaraz, and this is the podcast that redefines what's possible for you in the tattoo industry and in your tattoo education, not only in technical skills, but in business. This show is for fine artists, creatives, visionaries, artists of all kinds, even doodlers, who are ready to not just build a career, but a legacy. Here we merge mastery, freedom, and creative power to surpass the outdated industry norms, the outdated rules, and step fully into our creative power and roles as leaders in our communities. If you've ever felt like there has to be a better way, a better option to learn tattooing, to earn in this industry, and to lead in tattooing, you're in the right place. So let's build your empire, one bold, daring step at a time. Let's dive in. Thank you, Erica. Thank you for being willing to do this.
Of course. Thank you.
What an honor.
I know. It's an honor to always connect. Always.
And it's been the greatest honor to tattoo you.
It's the biggest honor to receive. Like I've been, obviously when we met each other so many years ago, the whole process. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had somebody fall asleep in a tattoo, but I fell asleep. There was such meditation about the entire experience that just felt so like right in its synergy. So I mean, incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. So we've done 2 sessions, long, really deep, beautiful sessions on you. The first time, clearly our first time working together. And what do you remember? I remember you telling me a little bit about that because you were hesitant, I think, a little bit curious.
Well,
go ahead.
What I think what was interesting is when at that time, I mean, I think it was maybe coming on year 6 or 7 of my father's passing. And I had considered getting a tattoo, and I was, really intentional about who I wanted to work on me and why. And then I found your studio. But I was specifically looking for, so it was Vicky who I was considering initially because there was this really beautiful flower that made me think of my father. And, I'm not a floral person per se, but there was just something that like led me that route. So I hit up Vicky first. But for whatever reason, you came up. I don't know what it was. Like there was just something that it was like, and then I looked at all of your work, and I think it was just the process, the idea of stepping into something like intuitive art, right? Permanently done on your skin, right? Where there was this freedom and a real deep curiosity that I was like, oh, I feel like this might be my person. Like, and then we just kind of went based off of that. And then we played like we did this whole meditation, we did tarot, like in my own therapy sessions I do those things as well, like light the palo santo, like really bring in this spiritual component of the people involved in this place. And it just became like a really magical experience. And I mean, when you're sitting with the person and you're like, what's the word, because I think that's what you asked. You asked me, or maybe, and your version of this might be different from mine, because obviously we're looking at like years post-pandemic, and so I don't even like remember what I did like 2 days ago. But I remember that part of our process as we were just kind of sitting even before the design happened. I think you would ask like, what's a word that is kind of clear in your mind as we, do this. And it was like abundance. And that was it straight away. And then I think our second session, there was a different type of energy again. And I didn't know the word just yet, but we came up with it after you were done, where it was like, oh, so, but I guess we'll get to that later. So, yeah.
Yeah. And my process changed. So I don't meditation. So you got to experience both.
I know.
So what was that like? Because do you feel like there was a different kind of depth, or do you want to share about the difference in the experience?
The difference in the experience, I feel, was a difference in you, in your trust of your own, I think, artistic process in it. Because obviously you've been an artist for a long time. You've been doing tattoos for a very long time. I think when you started doing more of that intuitive art process, that is a really new place, right? To just kind of go in and be like, do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very signature of what your style is, where if people know your art, they're like, oh, that's a Justine, piece, right? Like that they could actively identify that. And I think there was just a point by the time, because you were doing your work in your own studio where you're now,
Yeah.
and you were just, I think, in a different place of absolute like life transition, such a different like feeling of solid in self, of like solid in all of the decisions, even in your artistry, because at this point it was like you had taken your art when it was during the pandemic and blew it up into something to share it like on a bigger space and platform. And I think individually that also set you up just in a different place of your artistry, where we didn't have to do the meditation. We didn't have to do any of that, because just in our engagement, and I think, I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm just blowing this up into something else, because like I'm like, this is yours and my synergy, like this is yours and my relationship. Like every time I think you tattoo a person, obviously, there's an energetic exchange, and you and I have this established kind of synergy that just is really, it works. And so to sit with you differently was just like a different comfort, a different piece in you, because your studio obviously was gorgeous. I feel like that was like your baby.
Mhm.
And this was like, oh no, oh no, my baby's grown up now. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like that. We're in this place where it's just like, no, this is just my home now. It was different. So that felt different for me. And obviously, I think when you were tattooing me this round, there was a lot of stuff happening in my life, even where there was something that I don't know, I think I was seeking. I mean, because there was a time that I actually like went to you, and then we realized, oh wait, you're on antibiotics. We
Right.
can't even do this to you. And there were parts of me that just felt so like, because I think in my own process of what I was hoping to get done was like, I was like, I just need something, almost like a reach, almost like an answer. And the work was supposed to be me getting tattooed by you and me having this like revelation or something. I don't know, but like we trust in spirit, all things in its own fucking time. And like spirit was like, this is not the time. You are not in the space. Like you need to just take a seat on that. And I think seasonally, each time I've seen you, I've done them always around my father's birthday. So when
Mhm.
you do work on me, it's always within, it's always like a little between February, like somewhere time in February where we connect.
Mhm.
And so there's still like a lot of meaning, but you were a different person in a different space in a different stage of your life. And I think that energetically that felt different. And
Mhm.
so the work was going to be different. And it
Right.
was. There were shifts. There were definitely shifts. And even like there were parts where I was like, oh, this is different, even compared to what mine was even 2 years before that.
And
So
that's also because what I sense from you,
exactly.
it-
Exactly.
it's interesting, like the line quality I can feel shift even within like a 2 week period of adding to someone's tattoo. So I think
That's
that might
incredible.
be why too. But I'm curious also because your first session with me was full on designs on your forearms. And the second session was on the inner parts, right?
Yes.
So I remember you talking about like the work you do and
Mhm.
like sitting with your clients and then what was the experience of then like integrating now that you are wearing like massive body work, like your soul outwardly? What was that difference for
Which
you?
is, it's so funny because I don't notice until I notice, right? Because again, it just becomes kind of a part of you. Like the way that, like, maybe us as women or most people, right? Like everything that I do is pretty intentional. So the jewelry that I wear, I'm not the kind of person that like switches it up all the time. One of my clients identifies it as like it's like war paint when like women put on the lipstick, the big earring, and a couple of artists that I love buying their pieces from. One of them in specifics, her link is Artemisa Femes, but her line is like, adornments for warriors,
Oh,
right? I know, right? And so even like as I'm wearing these pieces and then I have this, it just feels like this is the adornment for warrior purpose every day, you know? So I forget, obviously, but it's people who know me and then, who choose to talk to me in public if they choose to, right? But even my family, they never knew that I was getting, I didn't say to anybody like, oh, I'm doing this intuitive process, because that's what felt different about this, right? I hadn't been tatted in more than 20 years, so there was like a long difference between the tattoos I got in my youth versus the tattoos I got in my 40s. Such a different process, but I didn't talk about it. I just literally like, scheduled with you, left, went to pick up my kids, and they were like, "What's that? Like, what's this about?" And my husband was like, "What is this about?" And to even be like, "It's abundance," like, and not even go into detail because it was like, no, it wasn't necessary. Like, it felt really like about just my experience and it's mine. So unless like people point it out, I don't think much of it. But then it's funny too because people are so, when it comes to tattoos, if it's not anything just like identifiable and whatever, they're always like, what is that? It
yeah.
looks like, and there's all these interpretations. And I just feel really good about like, I don't have to explain anything to anybody. Like, I just give one word. Oh, the artist and I, we came up with this, and this was abundance. And this was, I think, the inner ones. I think that was maybe thriving. I think that's what I see. And I'm even forgetting that.
Mhm.
But I just know that it felt good. It felt right. And I'm like, oh, and when I do this work, I'm going to do this with Justine. It's like, I like to think of them, all of my tattoos, but especially the ones in my later years, they really feel like a love letter to myself.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
But like especially these, like a real love letter to myself. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very personal. Isn't it funny
Right?
when people like ask or they make you kind of feel like you owe them an explanation
Yeah.
for why you
Yeah.
want something tattooed?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Interesting.
just yeah, I'm like, and it's fine, but I think I like being around people who just appreciate the art and don't,
Yeah.
if they're going to comment, it's not like, what is that? They're going to, most people who are aware of the artistry, right? They're like, oh my God, the lines are so fine. The detail, like it's so fluid, like some folks would describe it as that. One of my friends had said it's a little whimsical in some parts, you
Mm.
know? And I love just those kind of adjectives and that type of description. I'm like, okay, y'all are my people.
Yeah,
And then you have the people that are like, what is that?
right.
Is that a boat? Is that a sail? Is that a, and I'm like,
Then I see that as like such a reflection of them. Like I get to sort of analyze them, right? Do you feel that way too? Well, and you're a therapist too,
I
so.
mean, what they're, and again, it's not even like my brain has just always worked this way. So I think it's funny when people are like, when they know that I do this work, when they're like, oh, you're just diagnosing me. And I'm like, actually, I'm not. I mean, I think what ends up happening is though, it's always very much about energy
Yeah,
and what that exchange is like in energy and synergy with
yeah.
people. People will naturally speak your language. uh you know
Mm.
and after like 46 years on this earth, I think I have a pretty good feeling about myself to identify what that looks like to me, and what feels like, oh, that's my, it's my people kind of thing. But yeah.
Erica, did you notice any sort of shift in your energy after getting the tattoos?
I think for me, it always just feels a little bit more empowering in myself. Because again, if these tattoos are like love letters to myself, and I think about the younger version of me who got the tattoos that I did when I did, you know, even the choice in my older years to have them in such a visible place where I don't think it's as visible, but it really is, right? I didn't understand that like menopause, I'd be hot all the time. You know what I mean? So now they're just like exposed all the time. If they are like a love letter to myself, there's a different place of standing in my own, power and how this kind of represents the myself to the world, if you will, just without words, right? Just standing and being without words. So for me, there's a power in it. I always feel very relaxed every time I've left your studios. So that's just but I think that's telling of you and the space that you create. But yeah, I think I've always just felt, more solid in myself, more powerful, and leaving with something new that still tells a different story. Because I could look at this and think, okay, the theme was this after we came up with that word thrive, right? After. But then I get lost in it. It feels like a different story when I could look at different details of it. Like a different width might remind me of something that wasn't thinking about at that time. But yeah, there's always a sense of, I think, peace and a more solid or solidified sense of self and empowerment each time I got work done with you. And
Yeah,
excitement, because they
oh,
are beautiful. I mean, you do beautiful work, so yeah.
well, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for trusting me, because I know it's not a common way of working. You're coming in, you
Mhm.
don't know what you're gonna get. So there's a lot of trust,
Mhm.
and I really, really value that you do trust me. And something that's important to me is that, everyone I get the honor to work with, feels like they have, like your voice really matters, and that this is a
Mhm.
co-creation collaboration. And
Yep.
I want you to feel that you're creating this as much as I am, as much as spirit is. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm. It is. It's really kind of it's really guided by like the divine, and how amazing is that? It's powerful, it really is. So it's exciting, because when I think about in my younger years, intentionally, even when I got tattoos in my youth, like, and when I say youth, I think about like the teens and the
yeah,
times that you weren't supposed to get tattoos but you did, and how did you even get there when there was no parent supervision? And I'm like, this is latchkey kid shit, y'all. Like, you
right,
don't know, right? But I remember, going in and even having the intentions of like, I'm getting this because, and that was always really important to me. And it was about kind of like the shell, but there was always like meaning. But you could look at it and you could see what it is, right?
Mhm.
And I have different things and they were on my back, but I put them on my back specifically because I wanted to forget that they were there. Because I wanted to know, again, this is just for me. I know that they're there to remind me of things, and so when I think about that intention and then I think about what these meant, it was just so very different because the other ones were like, the intention is this, I was looking through the book and being like, well, can we do this, but then shift it? And,
Mhm.
so not necessarily original, and again, if you're getting it from a book, is it really original? But what it means to you is what the difference is, right? When people
Right,
get that.
right.
But I also remember just like the idea of like walking into these studios and these studios at a different time, especially being younger. It's like metal, it's like all dudes, even like sexualizing us as like young girls at the
Yes.
time,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right. It
100%.
was like just a lot of cigarette smoke and whatever. So to have like, the younger version, and then for me to come in knowing, because I knew that I wanted a female artist, I wanted, I just wanted a vibe. It was a very different vibe for what this like mature tattoo was going to look like at this very specific age. Not knowing what the tattoo was going to be, the intention was going to be something that was going to be designed and co-created, but this process that you and I ended up doing was so much more special and so much more bigger. And it was like literally, it felt like I can imagine it felt like what people come into therapy or like, asking like, well, what do you think? And how do you feel about this? And even after you like drew some things and we would look at it and it was like, what do you think? What's it telling you, Erica? And you'd ask me these questions and I was like, oh God, how beautiful. Like this just feels really good.
Oh,
And that, I mean, not everybody wants that experience, I guess, but if people know the kind of thing that they want, and they know that they want this open communication, they want gentle, they want thoughtfulness, and literally, that they want a person to be intuitive and to check in. Like, this is a really lovely experience to have that. Because I don't know how many people have had that, when it comes to tattoos, and if they even know that it's an option, you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean,
So,
that's why I made Earth Altar Studio, because I had experienced so much of that kind of traditional shop and was like, this is just
yeah,
not conducive for healing, expansion, for young women to feel safe within. This is a dangerous place for them, actually. We need to create something different, you know,
yeah,
even for artists, other artists to be comfortable
yeah,
working in too. So I'm
yeah,
so glad you felt that way.
yeah, totally. I mean, but again, where that's your intention. That's like kind of what you bring, I think, to life in like all the things that you do. So, yes.
Thank you, Erica. Is there
Well,
anything else you feel like?
no, no. Do you have any questions for me?
I think I asked them all. Unless, I mean, there's more like story or anything else you feel like.
I don't know.
I think you
I don't
shared
know.
everything so beautifully and
Oh, you're so sweet.
slowly and intuitively. It was great.
Thanks. But this, I mean, again, like this process of what we did, like, has been really, really cool. And I didn't know that I was going to get them done. And it was funny too, because even before I saw, your story where you had put the call out, I was thinking, I was like, I'm gonna hit her up for, something, because I'm contemplating on like what I just feel like this isn't stopping anytime soon, you
Oh,
know,
cool.
because
Okay.
like the story keeps going, and you're a storyteller and through your art, as artists are, and then people who get your work are storytellers, right? Everybody has a life experience and somehow it's translating into what this experience is, which is, and it's open for interpretation. Like it's open for discussion, it invites people, but it's not one of those things. It's a, if you know type of,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you'd recommend it?
Uh, I don't know. Yes, 10 out of 10. 10 out of how do you feel? Because especially because I know that you started a new studio, but compared to what Earth Altar was, because when that had closed, I mean, I had to say, I was like, oh my God, my heart. In comparison to what Earth Altar was to this new studio, how do you feel energetically it is? Because I haven't seen that new spot yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, yeah. It's, to me, it feels, well, it's a private studio. It's only me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's only me. I teach workshops there. I teach some
Wow.
tattooing programs there. Like I apprentice, my apprentice is there. I paint there. It's big, it's open. It's like an artist dream loft. It's on the fourth floor in downtown LA. So it's got this beautiful light and these views and this warmth and this calmness in there. And it I'm in such a different place. And so I'm not wearing the hat of like, I'm not running a team when I walk in there.
Right,
You know,
right.
I get to, just show up and be really present with whoever I'm working with in that day. And it's just deeper. It's more intimate and quiet, and it's different. And I loved having the big studio, and I loved that all my apprentices like turned into fantastic artists there and were thriving, and it was a great place for them all to begin. And then, they all went out and opened their own studios. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of them. And
Yeah.
it's cool, like we've all evolved and grown into like different next versions of ourselves, and this new studio feels really easy to be in, also because of the way the building is set up. Like it has its own security guard at the ground level. It's 24-hour surveillance. Like I'm not going to sleep worrying about it, I don't have to have my own security system in there. So just like even that, it's calming. And
Safety.
yeah, it feels safe. And I like that. I like being up off street level too. It's something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that gives you a view.
You got a view when you tattoo. When you get tattooed, it's really nice. So you gotta
Well,
come visit.
I will schedule with you. Yes, come time when we're called for it.
Yeah,
But thank you.
trust that. Thank you, Erica, with all
You're
my heart and soul. Thank you
welcome.
for sharing this and doing the
Come
work
back
you do in the world.
I know.
Pardon?
Thank you for what you're doing in the world. Because again, I think a lot of people are motivated and they tapped into something in themselves, whether they are like a student or, an artist, or just people learn more with you. It's a gift.
Same. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I adore
Okay.
you. I love you. Thank you so
Love
much.
you too. Be safe.
Thank you so much for listening and being a part of Her Ink Empire. Remember, this is only the beginning. Your empire is already unfolding. Until next time, stay bold, stay aligned, and stay true to you as you build your artistic legacy.